I was recently invited to take part in a Zoom event called International Voices, where poets from different parts of the world get to perform their poetry. And naturally, I did some poems about my life here in China. Over the next few videos, I'm hoping to do all of those poems again and quite a few others that didn't make the cut. All the ones in this video are all about my life in Yangshuo, where I lived for 3 years. The first one is very, very short. It's about my experience when I first came to China of trying to speak Chinese, a language that I don't think is difficult, I think it's impossible. In the shop, I try out my Chinese and try to buy tea. The girl looks at me strangely, as if I have asked her to lend me a windmill. Who knows? Perhaps I have. The next poem's about around the same time, and it's about when I was sitting outside a cafe one day watching some of the Chinese tourists on a rainy day. 3 girls strike poses in the rain, photographing each other, with the curlicue roofs of Yangshuo as a glamour shoot backdrop. They raise and lower umbrellas, they hug each other for the camera, they laugh until their tears mix with the rain on their cheeks. They notice me sipping coffee at the corner table of the cafe and offer me their camera to picture them all together. They raise bunny ear fingers behind each other's heads. I press and the shutter clicks, capturing their infectious joy. The next poem is also about sitting outside somewhere, this time outside a bar, and it was on the Chinese New Year, and there was a huge and a spectacular fireworks display going on. This is basically a description of the fireworks. It begins with red, crackling static and criss-cross swordplay in brightest white. A flower with ivory petals dipped in blood, tendrils that creep into the night. 2 sunflowers 200 feet tall. A garden is created above us. Shoots grow and spread from the moss that has grown on the sky. Sparks spit from the heated barrel of a gun. 1,000 flaming arrows suddenly curve earthward and vanish into the fire of battle. And everything ends in chaos and confusion as blood pours from the creeping veins to stain the treetops. The sun explodes, a magnificent fireball that devours the earth, shrinks back to a point, and leaves us in darkness. And the next poem is also about sitting outside somewhere, but this time sitting on a balcony at a restaurant above West Street, which is the main tourist street in Yangshuo, and just looking down at the crowds that are in West Street, or that were in West Street in happier times, because now, since the pandemic, West Street is a lot less lively. From the balcony, we can see West Street, bright neon flashing unknown messages indecipherable to our eyes, beacons on the human ocean. The crowd flows between the buildings, eddies into whirlpools on the corners, makes tidal currents in and out of doorways, ripples along the footpaths, breaks upon the bar front furniture, forms becalmed pools at the restaurants. Sirens tempt these land-bound mariners to drop anchor and abandon ship, to join them on hedonistic shores, and one by one the mariners succumb. And the last poem in this set is another one, like the last one, that didn't actually make the cut when I did the Zoom event. This is a poem about a bar that I spent a lot of time in, but when I was first in Yangshuo, I discovered that this bar had an open mic night. Now, later, I spent so much time in the bar that essentially I got a residency there performing every week. But this was about my first performance in there, and before me they'd never had any poets. They'd only had singers for their open mic. So this is called Open Mic. Tonight's the night for open mic, but I cannot sing. My voice is like a shrieking bird, a broken bell, the wailing damned who scream in hell. And I cannot play guitar or uke. A pleasant sound would be a fluke, and if I tried to do a dance, graceful moves would have no chance. If I tell a joke, there's one sure bet, the punchline's the bit that I'll forget. So what to do? Now I've begun it. Well, it seems that I might just have done it. That's it. Some of those poems were in my International Voices set and some of them weren't. And I'll do more poems about China next time.